frantic young man, bewildered and panicked, shouts for a goddess as he races through the chaos, desperately seeking answers to his dire situation. The girl with long hair beams joyfully as she unveils that she is the one who called them forth. The goddess Vicious reassuringly explains that confusion is expected after being abruptly transported to another world, but she stresses that they are unique and chosen. The goddess Vicious, arms wide open, proudly proclaims to the crowd, "You are all heroes." With a gentle smile, she reaches out her hand, revealing her concern as she informs him of an unfortunate matter after assessing his skills. The goddess Vicious smiles serenely and proclaims Mimorituka discarded, leaving him stunned and bewildered in front of the crowd. He urgently explains that the reason for calling them to this world is to defeat the demons. She beams while revealing that he holds the rank of E, the lowest possible in the group. He cautions that the boy could impede the talented heroes, then hesitantly urges him to step away from the group for everyone's benefit. He shouts urgently, "Please wait!" His face flushes with sweat as he reaches out, desperate to prevent someone from walking away. A nervous man in a suit, beads of sweat on his forehead, confesses he feels like an outcast in class, while a composed woman in a suit watches him from across the room. She glances at him, sipping her drink with a spark of curiosity. He takes a sip from the carton, feeling overlooked. Furious, he lashes out at someone for calling the class together without warning and then carelessly leaving him behind. He points firmly, questioning whether the same fate awaits the others once the woman no longer needs them, while she remains composed. A figure yells from afar, threatening, "You too will be discarded," while another stands defiantly, rejecting that grim fate. In the pouring rain, a girl stands close to her boyfriends, their faces illuminated by fleeting glances. They share a moment of uncertainty, pondering whether love can flourish amidst the chaos. He kneels on the ground, dejected, feeling invisible as his classmates completely overlook him. A young man shouts desperately, pleading for someone to stop as they hurry by. Aya defiantly asserts, "Mimori-kun is our classmate." Her expression is fierce, clearly believing that the situation is unjust. Ayaka, tearful, calls out softly as the goddess affirms her role as the S-rank hero tasked with uniting the class. The goddess Vicious speaks gravely, highlighting the weight of the decision, while Ayaka listens attentively, surrounded by others who share her concern. He hesitantly agrees, aware that Sogo, the class committee member, holds influence over everyone. She resolutely asserts that they can't accept this, anxiously glancing at those around her for reassurance. She firmly asserts that the presence of an E-rank doesn't mean nothing significant is unfolding. She smiles sadly, tears glistening as she reveals that their beloved S-rank hero has tragically lost her path. A girl desperately begs for someone to relinquish their selfishness and accept fate, while two nearby observers watch solemnly. A man shoves another to the ground, glaring fiercely while warning him not to exploit the chaos to harm a woman. Furious, a man shouts, "Pervert!" at another, who stands there, stunned and bewildered, struggling to grasp what just happened. A stark light illuminates the scene as the man grips his sword tightly, questioning his choices. Frustration wells up within him, and he feels a deep sympathy for Sogo, whose struggles mirror his own. A young man stands amidst a crowd, their expressions angry and dismissive. They insist that Misumori is unnecessary, warning that he will only bring chaos. Frustration swells as they urge him to leave. He anxiously asks if they were classmates just moments ago, struggling to comprehend the bizarre turn of events. A man insists that the resolute woman surrender, labeling her a nuisance as their conflict escalates. The man shouts, furious, urging them to leave at once. The girl with a ponytail, anxious, calls the blonde Ni-sama and insists they go. Meanwhile, the other girl stands quietly, rolling her eyes in frustration. The goddess coolly proclaims that, with unanimous consent, Tuka Mimori is now abandoned. He reacts with anguish, tears streaming down his face, while shadowy figures loom silently in the background. The man, drenched in sweat and resolute, declares that his sacrifice won't be meaningless. He asks for any final words, while those around him stand silently, as if trying to erase his very being. He declares that crying is pointless because of these people, his face a mask of resolve. She softly comforts him, insisting that tears are not embarrassing and urging him to embrace his feelings with pride. Takoto defiantly raises his hand, a fierce glare on his face, while Vicious stands beside him with a serene smile, effortlessly lifting her own hand in a peaceful gesture. She smiled brightly, remembering how they received special abilities when they first entered this world. A determined fist is raised. The girl, curious, asks how to check them. The boy replies confidently, "If I remember correctly." The girl grips her surfboard tightly, a determined smile spreading across her face as she scans the waves. A towering, horned beast sneers mockingly while a man in a suit stands, sword in hand, looking apprehensive. Beside him, a woman grips her sword confidently, ready for action. A ferocious beast roars as a young man, sweat glistening on his brow, skillfully dodges its strike and leaps away just in time, while a charging minotaur crashes nearby. A terrified young man screams as a monstrous figure lunges toward him. Then a brutal impact sends a shockwave rippling through the scene. He gasps at the figure, then asserts that if they join forces, there must be others who were cast out. A young man clutches a skeletal figure, wincing in agony, while another bystander stares in horror, understanding that discarding equals despair. The sweating man, knife gripped tightly, declares with fierce resolve that he can navigate the perilous situation. Nearby, the muscular horned creature bellows in agreement. Right, that's right. He boldly claims to be a hero, even at E rank, while a voice anxiously questions which skill he's employing. The man in the suit, anxious and determined, holds up a sign, asking if any hero can conquer a game with sleep, paralysis, and poison. She ponders, wondering if this is why she was abandoned. The text ponders the character's abilities, questioning if they truly miss the mark or simply feel ineffective. Skill names like Paralyze, Sleep, and Poison are displayed at level 1, evoking a sense of disappointment. The young man, resolute, confronts a fearsome beast that suddenly extends a claw and softly strokes his head. Startled, he gasps, overwhelmed. Satoru strikes with an electrifying force, shattering the monstrous opponent's resolve. The enemy is momentarily stunned, eyes wide with shock. The man nervously extends his hand toward the massive, electrified, minotaur-like creature, realizing that his plan might have actually succeeded. A man and woman grapple fiercely over a horse, determination etched on their faces. Each struggles to assert their claim as the animal snorts nervously between them. He swallows anxiously, glancing at the imposing horned figure, praying the strength he possesses will be sufficient. They eagerly debate a one-on-one fight in a confined space, unrestrained by time. A hand reaches out confidently as the speaker suggests it could be worthwhile, provided specific conditions are met. The boy douses the slime-like creature with liquid, exclaiming, "Poison!" A grin spreads across his face as he sees the poison take effect. The slime-like creature eagerly inquired about the paralysis duration, poison strength, and any limitations on their use, extending its tendrils toward the person before it. He contemplates the importance of mastering his skills, then assures himself, relieved, that he has all the time he needs, thanks to the goddess. A shadowy figure with piercing eyes faces off against a grotesque, oozing creature that bubbles and steams. He gazes steadily, realizing it's futile in this moment of tranquility, aware that there's only an hour left until the other is utterly defeated. He ponders, uncertain, about whether he truly has leveled up. Doubt gnaws at him, prompting a decision to delve deeper into the mystery. He eagerly extends his hand, offering the mantle, his expression hopeful as he stands amidst the rugged rocks of the cave. He questions her about being cast aside, his grip on the sword firm. She steps forward with resolve, confessing she can't guarantee revenge but vows to give it her all. The girl, defiant and fierce, grips the gun tightly, proclaiming she will fight no matter what. Behind her, a shadowy, monstrous figure lurks, adding to her resolve. She plunges deeper into the dark woods, embraced by towering trees and thick foliage, feeling both anxious and exhilarated. The monstrous creatures roar fiercely in the rain, while the resolute young man raises his hand, challenging the overwhelming number of enemies before him. With fierce determination, the man raises his gun, exclaiming, "Paralyze!" A surge of electrifying energy erupts, striking his opponent and leaving them frozen in shock. A man in a suit plummets through the air, arms outstretched in panic, bewildered by the surreal world he's fallen into. The girl contemplates her sudden call and rejection by the goddess, understanding she must fiercely master her powers to endure. The character excitedly reveals that their skill triggers upon saying its name. With a confident grin, they stretch their arm like a turret as soon as the target comes into view. Two figures share a space, yet they remain distant. The girl appears hopeful, while the guy feels lost. Nearby, a sweating man contemplates his abilities, anxious over the choices ahead. In a brightly colored room, two figures stand 20 meters apart. One, with a serious expression, explains that their poison induces paralysis and sleep for just an hour, while noting the effective range is about 20 meters. A monstrous creature with bulging eyes and a gaping beak wonders if the dungeon's inhabitants are exceptionally powerful this time. The young man excitedly remembers the notification he received about leveling up after defeating the Minotaur. He reflects on the goddess's enlightening explanation that the system is tailored to their world's knowledge. The screen displays Tuka Mimori's stats, revealing a staggering leap to level 258, showcasing her maxed-out HP and MP. Confusion washes over her as she wonders if it's a bug or something else entirely. The character realizes, determined, that she had never meant to let him slip away from the dungeon. This thought solidifies in her mind, leaving no room for doubt. The goddess Vicious icily brands the other a failure, her gaze sharp and unforgiving. With a sinister glare, she threatens to cast them aside. He clenches his fist fiercely, vowing to crush the goddess's head and break free from this nightmare. The dark-haired figure unleashes a poison spell, while another boldly steps forward, eager to take down the snarling enemies. He yells, "Poison!" as he fiercely strikes the massive slime-like creature with a blazing energy blast and a devastating punch. Furious, a man barks at a boy to step out onto the veranda, warning him not to scream. A girl gazes out the window, her expression wistful, as snowflakes dance softly in the chilly air. Meanwhile, a boy stands nearby, his face thoughtful, lost in memories of things left unsaid. A young man chuckles bitterly, envisioning kindness and praise from others as he curls up tightly in his cramped space. As snowflakes swirled outside a locked door, a girl desperately begs to be let in. Inside, a young man glares, frustration etched on his face, and demands to know what has happened. A woman furiously demands the door be opened, asserting their role as parents and condemning the choice to involve the police. A boy clings to his mother, eyes wide with fear, while another pair stands nearby, watching in shock. A massive swarm of creatures closes in on the cloaked figure, who stands resolutely against them, shouting defiantly. Suddenly, a wicked smile spreads across their face, accompanied by mocking laughter and a sharp comment about how problems don't vanish with just an apology. A man in a hoodie stares up at the sky, feeling desolate as memories of his troubled life flood his mind. The man, breathless and drenched, realizes that once the paralysis wears off, he will unleash it again without hesitation. He anxiously wonders if sleep paralysis and poison could combine, his face tight and beads of sweat forming. Nervous, she brushes a strand of black hair behind her ear, her gaze fixed on the camera as she contemplates if she can pull off another layer. Satoru unleashes a sleep spell, watching with satisfaction as the monstrous creatures topple over, one after another, slipping into a deep slumber. A man grimaces, clutching a knife tightly, his expression twisted with anger as he prepares for what comes next. The creature lies helpless, afflicted by paralysis, poison, and sleep. The text highlights that even when the paralysis fades, the lingering effects of sleep and poison continue to torment it. He discovers he can conquer his foes silently with poison, feeling startled. The crowd of weary individuals looks exhausted and defeated, radiating an aura of despair. A man and a woman discuss the cruel, dismissive nature of certain individuals, believing they don't deserve compassion. Meanwhile, a group turns their backs and walks away, leaving a lone figure kneeling in the spotlight, desolate. His eyes blaze with resolve as he vows to outpace and eliminate those who seek to end him. A solitary figure perches on a distant hill, gazing down at the sprawling battlefield littered with fallen warriors, contemplating their newfound power. The hooded man gazes at the luminous tablet set into the cavern wall, captivated by the swirling level-up notifications that dance around him. She gazes up, breathless and determined, as a notification glows before her. Her skills, Paralyze, Sleep, and Poison, have all advanced to level 2 with multi-target casting. He studies the page intently, wondering if Soul Eater refers to a creature. The book holds crucial secrets about forbidden arts, and the character eagerly plans to read it later while on the go. He calmly requests the rope, referring to the other as an old sage, and labeling them a fellow victim of disposal. He opens the magical safe room, feeling uneasy as he takes in its stark, uninviting design. Doubt lingers in his mind. This certainly won't be his final resting place. He anxiously counts the days, 1, 3, maybe a week, while sweat trickles down his strained face. A man in a dark cloak stands resolutely in front of a door, his expression focused as he contemplates his next move. She carefully steps down the stairs, feeling nostalgic as she revisits this forgotten place. The characters scan the stark architecture, spotting a nearby exit and a secure room as they cautiously navigate the corridor, their hearts racing. A resolute young man concentrates fiercely, channeling energy through his outstretched hand, while a sinister cloaked figure looms in the distance, shrouded in darkness. He emphasizes that by honing his skills, he can enhance their effectiveness, enabling him to unleash poison, paralysis, and sleep spells on multiple foes. Excitement fills him as he envisions the possibilities. The character confidently declares that, with sharp focus, they pinpoint every enemy in sight, using their skill to strike each one decisively in the head. Tuka grins confidently, highlighting her stats that boast impressive levels across the board. He contemplates his susceptibility to unseen strikes and recognizes the necessity for unwavering concentration until his abilities advance. Then, he confidently unveils a newly crafted technique. He jolts, startled, as a blinding light erupts behind him. He understands she's determined to keep him trapped as the menacing creature towers over him. The character hesitates, uncertain if their skills can truly take down a massive undead beast, questioning the effectiveness of their abilities against a foe that's already lifeless. He boldly asserts he will use someone as his test subject, fully aware of the dungeon's perilous nature and determined to face each challenge head-on. A boy with short black hair beams with appreciation, calling Kashima kind. A character gazes fondly at the two cats peacefully sleeping on the bed, recalling how they once found an injured stray. Regret washes over them for not having the bravery to take it to the vet, like Mimori-kun. A girl with long hair gazes downward, her expression heavy with regret as she quietly acknowledges her cowardice. A girl cradles a cat and smiles gently, while the boy next to her sits quietly, pondering that it's wiser to be a gentle coward than a fearsome maniac. Kobato's attention snaps back as a voice calls her name, urging her to listen. Her fingers clench the pen, determined. A girl sheepishly apologizes to Asagi Ikusaba, her mind wandering. Meanwhile, a stern voice commands her full attention in the vast hall, flanked by towering columns. The girl with short black hair confidently declares that they should use first names, her determination evident. The others nod in agreement, a mix of anticipation and readiness washing over them as they prepare to begin the rehearsal. In Chapter 1, the girl reveals that Class 2C was suddenly thrust into a shocking adventure, urging everyone to unite. The character gazes up the grand, empty staircase, feeling insignificant. S-rank and A-rank individuals effortlessly pursue their dreams, leaving them behind in a whirlwind of ambition. She firmly orders the formation of a group, insisting that B-, C, and D ranks unite. Determined. In the vibrant scene, two characters beam with excitement, urging each other on. Their eyes sparkle with determination as they rally together, ready to face any challenge that comes their way. A smug girl taunts Kobato, labeling her a D-rank airhead and a wannabe leader, while she brags about her B-rank hero status. Kobato, stunned, watches as her clothes rip. The girl gasps in shock while the others coolly explain that they've already swayed half the girls and aim to gather as many gullible guys as possible to use as shields. The girl anxiously insists they must rally more allies before the A and S ranks depart, highlighting an imminent training session focused on defeating enemies. A tearful girl questions the trustworthiness of the selfish abductors who took her classmates, while another character passionately urges her to finally see the truth. Determined, she dreams of forming a group that empowers them to be themselves, dismissing the notion of battling evil foes or relying on other eager champions. A girl with long hair stands nervously in front of a white wall, her black shirt contrasting against the brightness behind her. She pleads earnestly, reminding that Class 2C15 is already in the past, and asks if the listener truly wants to face danger. With tears streaming down her face, she pleads with Mimori-kun for guidance, her voice trembling with fear as she wonders if her gentle, timid self is no longer enough. The scene begins in a vast, empty chamber, where a character admires the brilliance of a wise skeleton. Suddenly, a fierce dragon erupts with a deafening roar before crashing to the ground as another figure commands it to sleep, asserting control. The text unveils Anglin Berthrad as the great sage and dark hero, detailing how the goddess ruthlessly cast him into this realm. A skull broods, feeling like a burden to the goddess Vicious. He surveys the area, recognizing it as a dumping ground for E-ranks and anyone else deemed troublesome by the goddess. He wonders if the great sage is a villain or merely a nuisance. A colossal, multi-headed beast towers over the clash, its presence menacing. A voice thunders, branding the goddess as wicked, while the intensity surges, igniting a fierce determination to rise. He kneels on the ground, pondering his past wish to be gentle, timid. He stands quietly beside the girl, gazing at the towering carcasses, feeling numb. This moment feels profound. They spot a door nearby, its surface marked by an indentation, hinting that something must fit within it. Excited, they realize the exit is near, the cool breeze confirming their hopes. She stands in front of a broken wall, her expression focused as she takes in her surroundings. A close-up of a statue's face, adorned with a third eye, captures the moment. Someone gazes at it in awe, whispering, "That's the one." The man ponders the creature's nature, questioning if it is genuinely monstrous. He notices the trap that will spring if he dares to remove the stone from its forehead, feeling apprehensive. The character watches their level climb to 1229, excitement bubbling within as they gain enhanced abilities and a new skill to grasp the behavior of the majestic horse before them. The young man hesitates, wary of the potential trap, while the small, slug-like creature beside him watches quietly. He boldly claims he can tackle the challenge with his paralyzed poison sleep combo if the opponent is a monster. A focused man asserts his resolve, while another nearby, anxious, strategizes on how to induce paralysis and watch the results unfold. The boy in the black suit sits on the ledge, focused as he readies to cast his spell, careful to remain just within reach. The young man yells defiantly as a fierce attack cuts through the air, slamming into his opponent with crushing might. A young man stands frozen, eyes wide with disbelief, as a sudden thrust pierces his chest, shock etched across his face, crimson splattering from the wound. He suddenly recognizes the figure before him, the Soul Eater. Shocked, he sits confidently, speaking intently on the phone, fully aware that his words carry weight. A bespectacled man gazes thoughtfully at the swift beam, realizing it surpasses his own speed. With determination, he stands poised on the ledge, aware that the beam will likely fire as soon as he reveals his intent. A boy and a girl stand close, their expressions intense. The boy, anxious, sweats as he grips the girl's arm, while a dark figure looms behind them, ominously revealed as the boss of the labyrinth and the Soul Eater. The man grips the megaphone tightly, torn between retreating and leveling up. Hesitation grips him as he realizes he must announce his skills aloud, the volume requirement weighing heavily on his thoughts. A man in a sharp suit stands among shattered pillars, reflecting somberly that he has vanquished nearly all the monsters, with hardly any experience points left to gain. The goddess beams, while the dark-haired man vows fiercely to either slay her or perish in the attempt. He sees a shadow looming above and asks, "Is this an attack?" Panic floods his voice as dark smoke spills from the monstrous maw above. A man spots wriggling creatures and, repulsed, resolves to paralyze them with fierce determination. The character gasps, her eyes wide with shock as she sees the two men, their mouths agape in horror, reflecting the anguish of her past victims. A chilling laughter reverberates as a stunned figure stares, while sinister faces with unsettling smiles loom below, suggesting a horrifying familiarity. The man shouts, "Freeze!" A massive force hurtles toward the group, their faces flashing with fear as the assault closes in. He reflects on why the skill remained unaffected, realizing it didn't target its own body despite being under the Soul Eater's gaze. He anxiously insists that he can't use poison on their fellow victims. They're essentially allies. The young man yells, defiantly declaring his uniqueness. He's unbothered by monsters but unsettled by these human-shaped figures. The man strides boldly toward the hooded figures, his voice ringing out fiercely as he declares that he cannot poison those who have suffered like him. A malevolent man grins wickedly as a battered, desperate Kirihara Takoto grasps the cruel pleasure his enemy derives from his suffering as the prey. A monstrous figure with a third eye howls angrily as shadowy forms below cry for help, evoking a sense of desperation. The terrified girl screams for him to stay away, while the anxious man pleads for her to stop and remain back. A man cries for help, his voice filled with desperation as hooded figures draw near, their eerie masks casting a chilling shadow. A man with a confident grin holds a sign that says, "I'm a man," his eyes sparkling with pride. A grinning man beams joyfully as twisted humanoid figures shriek in terror, their arms flailing wildly, responding to the command to paralyze that reverberates through the scene. A sinister figure sneers at the self-assured expressions of several powerful individuals, labeling them arrogant and uniform in their appearances at this moment. She gazes at the camera, her expression fierce and determined. The man in the suit stands defiantly before the imposing stone statue and the armored soldiers, mocking their belief that he wouldn't strike back or that they had truly bested him. A boy gazes up at his mother, warmth filling his heart as he recalls all the moments they've shared. Gratitude swells within him for her unwavering love and kindness. A hand clutches the ball tightly as the speaker, feeling vulnerable, prepares to share a crucial thought. "Poison!" he yells, unleashing a spell at the monstrous creature. Its face twists in agony as dark substances burst forth from its mouth. The shadowy figure grips the gun, eyes cold and determined. As he issues a chilling command to the lurking beasts, they surge forward, eager for the taste of vengeance against their former prey. The young man grins triumphantly, mocking his foe as the creature convulses in agony, gasping for air. The character observes that a cornered foe, paralyzed with fear, will suffer greater harm if it tries to escape, while the image reveals a shattered ground beneath their feet. She sits on the floor, her black and white dress cascading around her, hands raised in surrender. He confesses his weakness, glancing upward as others react with strained expressions. He clenches his fist in agony, realizing that his triumph and existence hinge on facing the goddess and seizing her gaze. He gasps for breath, his glowing hand raised defiantly, assuring Paralyselise that he will remain vigilant as she stirs awake. A man stands boldly in front of a colossal flower, its petals stretching wide like a vibrant embrace, while small, slug-like creatures crawl at his feet. He breathes a sigh of relief, realizing the enemy has finally fallen. Surprised, he glances at his skill levels and sees they've risen, even though he believed he had hit the limit. He quietly regrets his actions as a severed head rests amidst the scattered body parts on the floor, while a voice mourns the countless souls ensnared by the Soul Eater. He stares, stunned, as the earth quakes and splits open, exposing a swirling energy and a trapped, ghostly figure beneath. The man gratefully acknowledges the hero's victory over the Soul Eater, while the hero remembers the deafening roar echoing in his mind as he spotted the Minotaur looming behind him. She beams at him, proud of his decision to take up her mantle and confront the monsters that took her life. He smiles back, warmth radiating from him. Suddenly, he feels a rush of excitement as the souls trapped by the Soul Eater start communicating with him directly. A girl smiles at a boy, pointing to a sign that reads, "I'm." The boy's eyes widen in surprise as he absorbs her words, feeling hopeful about their shared secret. He spots a girl in the same robe, bewildered. A young man pulls up his hoodie, transforming into the mysterious figure known as Anglin. An older man with a beard pulls his hood up, smiling faintly. The narrator strains to catch his words, feeling bewildered. The young man feels confused as he notices slight twitches around the creature's mouth. Two men gallop fiercely on their horse, determination etched on their faces, their eyes focused on the horizon. A solitary man grips his sword tightly on the cracked stone floor, resolute in his mission to defeat the goddess. He pauses, then assertively declares he feels no duty to answer her question. He grips his hands firmly, resolutely vowing that, no matter how long it takes, he will ensure the goddess pays her debt. She stands before the massive ornate door, her breath quickening as she adjusts the black and white dress that clings to her. The sunlight gently weaves through the trees, casting a serene glow as a message resonates across the continent that day. In the frozen north, a horde of demons surges forward. The great demon emperor's legions march relentlessly southward, and the mighty fortress Nightwall, once the pride of Magnar's kingdom, lies in ruins. In a dimly lit chamber, cloaked figures gather around an imposing round table, their faces obscured in shadow. The narration reveals that nations are compelled to strategize their defenses. The close-up reveals a tear-filled eye, then shifts to the confident smile of the goddess Physis, as the narration conveys that the kingdom of Ilion is governed by her absolute authority. The goddess Vicious strides confidently with her armored rulers. A hooded fugitive observes warily. A determined heroine charges ahead, while a shadowy conqueror looms on a throne, flanked by loyal followers. A scorched map represents the assembly of all pawns, heralding the chaotic dawn of a new era. She bolts ahead, startled and panting, as she senses her pursuers closing in despite her frantic speed. Startled, she flinches as an attack whizzes past her, understanding they're playing with her. Doubt creeps in as she recalls the anticipated challenge that comes with the legacy of heroes. The scene depicts a group of figures standing proudly beneath a majestic family tree, as narration reveals that their bloodline bestows upon them extraordinary strength and unimaginable power. Ceres bolts ahead, convinced her pursuers are the heroes, descendants. Suddenly, 4 mercenaries emerge from the trees, launching a fierce ambush. 4 warriors, Magats, Giobane, Asura, and Zalash, stand ready, their faces etched with resolve, each embodying strength and purpose. Ceres gasped, overwhelmed by the cunning of her adversaries, realizing just how challenging it would be to escape their grasp. She feels determined as she sits beneath the tree, her heart racing, while a strange glow flickers in the distance. Adaya earnestly invokes the regalia of the spirits, trading her serene dreams for a solemn pact. With determination, the character unleashes a flurry of magical spells, vibrant energy swirling around their hands and face as they concentrate deeply. She feels the fierce energy of 3 spirits surging through her, empowering her as she transforms into the regalia of the spirits. The character stands resolute, aware that their enemies plan to capture them alive. They seek to drain every ounce of stamina and power, avoiding lethal strikes. Gripping a glowing sword, determination radiates from them, ready to face the challenge ahead. She leans in, heart racing, drawn to the warmth of their connection, amplifying her senses to savor every fleeting moment before it slips away. The elf warrior stands resolute, conjuring a colossal, blazing skull behind her, exuding overwhelming strength and astonishment. Ceres gasps, eyes wide with disbelief, her chest tightening as panic grips her. A massive skull looms ominously, instilling fear in the dark-haired girl. Her eyes widen in shock as she clutches her weapon with fierce resolve. She spots a flicker in the thicket to her left and freezes, a jolt of fear coursing through her as the leaves rustle and the wind picks up. A young man gazes at a mysterious box, astonishment evident on his face, as he discovers the secrets of Anglin, the great sage and dark hero, who authored an encyclopedia on forbidden arts. A character delicately examines a vintage black and white poster adorned with flowers, reminiscing about cherished memories. The goddess serenely explains that her passive skill, the goddess, disenchantment, forms a barrier that effortlessly deflects all status ailments around her. He sits on the floor, despondent, contemplating how her self-proclaimed goddess status dampened his spirits while recognizing her fierce independence. Even the most adept fighters often shy away from using status ailment skills as their primary approach, because the odds of success in this world are dishearteningly low. Furious, he jabs a finger skyward, cursing the goddess for his ruin. Memories flood back. His skills always triumphed, even in an RPG where victory seemed unattainable. The young boy ponders the significance of rank E, feeling uncertain about its implications, while a silent figure observes him thoughtfully from the shadows. He vividly remembers being summoned to this world and receiving a blessing from the goddess, feeling astonished as the characters around him seamlessly transformed into Japanese. Satoru gazes at an enigmatic scroll, sensing its profound knowledge surpasses even the goddess's wisdom. He settles beneath a towering tree, pondering the cryptic message with a furrowed brow. A man, smirking, considers the chaos that could unfold if 2 mighty forces clashed, gripping a knife with a determined grip. Breathless, he lies on the ground, pondering that everything is still uncertain. Rising to his feet, he confesses he might one day find answers, but feels lost. In a forest clearing, a cloaked man stands still as curious slime creatures gather around him, emitting gentle sounds. Suddenly, a large object crashes down, startling the slimes into frantic motion. He's shocked to see the slimes turning on one of their own, a brutal 5-on-1 lynching unfolding before him. Excited, he suddenly recalls that he hasn't reviewed the skills he acquired after defeating the Soul Eater. His eyes widen as he notices his status entries multiplying rapidly. The tiny, gelatinous creature enthusiastically details the new non-lethal options for paralyze and poison spells, highlighting their potential for interrogation or torture. He feels surprised by the slime's surprising strength despite its small size, then contemplates how even monsters can be fierce with one another. With a determined glare, he commands, "Poison and paralysis shall be your fate." A smug man mockingly apologizes for overwhelming his underdog opponent, while a sudden electric blast jolts the ground, catching the target off guard. A hand presses a button on the device, switching the poison settings from lethal to non-lethal. The grim satisfaction in their eyes reveals the intent. Victims will endure agonizing pain, but death won't come as a release. He stands serenely among the slimes, contemplating their immobilization. With a decisive nod, he activates the control for a non-lethal option. Bouncy slimes leap around joyfully as the young man watches, intrigued and ready to spring into action. He kneels on the soft forest floor, a playful smile on his face, as he tosses a stick for his dog. The dog's tail wags eagerly, reflecting the joy of their adventure together. The young man sheepishly apologizes for the late reinforcements, yet he admires the small slime's valiant effort. He stares, stunned, as the girl tells him their conversation is over and walks away, leaving a small, jelly-like creature lingering nearby. A man with a sword smiles at a small, slime-like creature, inviting it to join him. The creature nods eagerly, feeling reassured that the man lacks the bloodlust of dungeon monsters. The young man pauses, conflicted about bringing a monster into town. Nearby, a small, slime-like creature makes an eager sound. The slime cheerfully offers to join him, and he nods, recognizing their bond as outcasts. He feels warmth as his partner hugs him tightly, and he looks surprised at the slimy creature playfully poking out from his chest. "Clever," he exclaims, a smile spreading across his face. Satoru stands confidently by the tree, adjusting his tie as he speaks to Piggymaru. "Stay alert for any monsters approaching, all right? We're a team now." A sense of camaraderie fills the air between them. A man excitedly calls out to the small, slime-like creature, playfully nicknaming it Piggymaru because it only says Piggy. The boy barely escapes a dagger, wide-eyed as he turns to see the girl, Piggymaru, who just saved him. Relief washes over him, and he can't help but smile in gratitude. A figure kneels, puzzled by the crouching man's distress. Another dismisses him, insisting he isn't the one they're looking for. A close-up reveals a shocked expression, questioning if they're searching for someone else. The man anxiously warns about a shadowy figure lurking in the forest, possibly an accomplice, while another fiercely orders his death. A group surrounds a man by a tree, insisting he reveal where a certain woman is headed, while he stands there, anxious. A burly man menacingly offers painless death to his trembling target, while a grinning companion beside him eagerly promises to enjoy the show until he breaks. The man, drenched and resolute, urges someone to pick their preferred option. The young man stammers, "Just a wanderer," but the scarred man smirks. "Guess your luck's pretty awful then." A burly man shouts to Magats, who exhales wearily. Nearby, a self-assured woman smirks and replies, "Yeah." A close-up reveals a gleaming scimitar blade, as the character presents it with a sly grin, inviting the viewer to test the weapon on an unsuspecting target. A girl grips her sword tightly, her eyes gleaming with determination as she stands ready for battle. He lifts his arm as the sword quivers, eager to savor blood. A girl sits on the ground, her head cradled in her hands, overwhelmed. Two men enthusiastically debate a unique swordsmanship technique using steel wire, while a third person observes curiously from a tree branch above. A character soars joyfully through the sky, their arms outstretched as they embrace the freedom of flight. The man stands boldly, effortlessly brandishing multiple swords, as a voice declares him worthy of the title Sword God. With a fierce grin, Oyamada Shogo menaces his opponent, ready to strike their arms, then legs, and finally their neck. He anxiously begs to stay, fearing the loneliness of being lost in the woods. In a tender moment, a man embraces his partner tightly, whispering sweetly, "I won't let go." The other responds with a gentle smile, eyes sparkling, as they lean in closer, murmuring, "I'm right here." Satoru brandishes his sword, striking fear into the approaching enemies. They stand frozen, eyes wide with shock as the realization of their fate sinks in. The group debates the effects of abnormal state skills on humans. One man, anxious, cracks his knuckles and remarks that the goddess is a unique case. The man stutters anxiously about an unusual event and four men emerging at once, while the dark-haired figure remains composed, radiating intensity and electricity. The man in the center grins boldly at the armored woman's scathing remark about his skill, while the others observe with varying expressions of disbelief. He gently reassures her that understanding isn't necessary. With a thoughtful expression, he starts to share that what seems impossible is, in reality, quite familiar to them both. He vows to dismantle the world's order, driven by a fierce desire for justice. An unyielding eye for an eye, a resolute tooth for a tooth. With a smirk, the girl raised her hand, casting a shimmering spell while teasing the boy about his dreadful luck. "Your love is terrible," she quipped, her eyes sparkling with mischief. He strides through the lifeless bodies, shocked by the realization that he was the one who took their lives. Grief washes over him as he stares at his trembling hand, grappling with the profound weight of loss. He wonders if it's due to their scumminess, while she, tearful, confesses her emptiness despite it all. A man in a trench coat and hat grips a knife tightly, resolute. He knows that regardless of the outcome, his choice remains unchanged, and he feels no remorse for taking a life. A man kneels on the ground beside two unconscious figures, his brow furrowed as he quietly rustles the leaves. He glances at a pouch of coins in his hand, tempted but cautious, weighing the risk of taking only their money to avoid detection. A close-up reveals a startled face. The scene transitions to a man in a dark cloak, standing alone in a shadowy forest. He grips an object tightly, declaring, "The dead have no need for this." The young man exclaims in shock, then turns to Piggymaru, questioning if he feels the ominous force drawing near. The young man thinks about the woman's name, feeling anxious. If she isn't dangerous, he might escape. Unlike before, there's no menace in her presence. He orders Pigimaru to draw her out, but the girl stubbornly declines, challenging the notion that an enemy's enemy can be trusted. She battles a suffocating vision of death that hinders her detection skill, pushing her to steady herself with fierce resolve. She feels a sharp jolt of alarm as the overwhelming killing intent vanishes, her instincts kicking in at the sound of rustling nearby. Meanwhile, a hidden figure grins slyly, satisfied that the trap has succeeded. Satoru issues a paralyzing command, leaving Seteras stunned. He strides toward Ayaka, relief washing over him. A close-up reveals a focused boy watching his anxious mother, who expresses her apprehension about the upcoming challenge. Her eyes reflect a mix of concern and resolve, piquing his interest. A man in a suit remarks to a woman in a dress that she appears surprisingly articulate, unlike most people he encounters. He adds that he's merely observing her movements for safety. The elf, startled and sweating, interrogates the bound man, uncertain if his intentions align with the White Walkers, while the man remains composed, observing the forest. The elf, startled and anxious, questions the other's intentions, uncertain of his allegiance to the White Walkers. Meanwhile, the dark-haired man grips the rope around a figure with a determined smirk. He admits he's a stranger here, and urgently asks for the nearest village's location and details about the area. She gasps, surprised by the sudden warmth of the moment, her eyes wide and sparkling. The young man hesitates, wary of her perception of him. Apologetic, he gestures for her to speak first. Nervous, she finally speaks up, and he responds, explaining that he only freed her mouth because past events make him wary of trusting a stranger easily. Citras warns him to be wary of strangers, her tone serious. He nods, contemplative, as they sit beneath the trees. A burly man questions urgently, "Are we being pursued by 4 men?" Meanwhile, a masked elf glares fiercely, demanding answers about their encounter with the White Walkers, vowing to set them free in exchange. He confesses, "I killed them." She gasps, eyes wide, disbelief flooding her expression as they stand together in the quiet forest clearing. He sprawls on the ground, confessing his first kill was in self-defense. She listens, stunned, recognizing his honesty. She resolutely states that she holds no resentment if he genuinely is the one who ended their lives. In a secluded forest, Sierras gazes at him with admiration, calling him her savior as they stand side by side. She reluctantly acknowledges that it's disrespectful to address him like that. The goddess Vasiya stands with a determined expression, her radiant aura illuminating the scene, while the young man gazes at her, wide-eyed with concern. The young man, sensing trust, reassures the woman behind him, allowing her to turn and face him, feeling embraced. She admires his integrity and nods in understanding, deciding to trust him without hesitation while inviting him to inquire freely. He challenges her, recognizing her connection to magic from her attire, while she gazes back, focused, her grip on the sword firm. The young man nervously unfurls a parchment filled with bizarre symbols, his eyes scanning the crowd for a hint of recognition. Her eyes widen in astonishment as she studies the scroll given to her, while he observes her closely, gripping the ancient map with resolve. The girl with blonde hair grips the knife tightly, her face set in determination as she focuses on her task. He inquires if she can decipher the inscriptions, but she shakes her head regretfully, unable to read them. He gazes at a crumpled letter, pondering how unpredictable life can be. With a spark of confidence, she proposes that she might know someone who understands the letters. She gazes intently at the camera, recalling a legend about the Forbidden Witch, her expression serious and contemplative. A hooded figure revealed her immense understanding of the world's taboos, rendering her perilous and forcing her to flee from her homeland. He urgently demands to know the witch's whereabouts, his face etched with fear. The scene captures a solitary tree against a stark, black and white backdrop, its branches reaching out like arms. A voice softly whispers that she was rumored to wander among the ancient ruins, searching for something lost. She reveals that this place is known as the Monster's Golden Habitat, yet it teems with lurking, menacing creatures behind her. He reflects on the challenge of meeting her, then thoughtfully covers his mouth, recognizing the crucial information he has gained. The man with the beard gazes thoughtfully, astonished by his triumph in a dungeon where even heroes have fallen. He's overwhelmed by the sheer number of monsters he faced. She notices his sadness, and he kindly offers to help with any questions she has. In the bustling marketplace, a curious girl approached a boy, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Do you know much about this country?" she asked eagerly. The boy, intrigued, responded with a thoughtful frown, seeking clarity on the world's situation, geography, and prices. He reveals that his unique situation keeps him cut off from the world and seeks her empathy. She listens quietly, then nods in understanding. He observes her with curiosity, feeling that her warmth might conceal something more profound. Sirak stands before the stark black and white backdrop, her long hair flowing gently as she contemplates the wind spirits that unveiled the truth. Gratefulness fills her heart as she resolves to repay him, even amid the unsettling circumstances. The girl eagerly indicates their spot on the map in the Uruza kingdom, while the boy curiously questions their distance traveled. Nearby, a cheerful girl beams as she stands close to the monsters' golden habitat. Beneath the trees, the two stand, one expressing hope, emphasizing the significance of their discussion. She hesitantly declines, feeling inadequate to repay his kindness, while he grins reassuringly behind her. He smiles gently, thankful as he explains that the spell to halt her movement will fade in just a few minutes. She tells him they will separate here, while he vows to stay away from that moment forward. Ceres stands proudly with her sword, smiling brightly as she wishes everyone a safe journey ahead. The boy with messy black hair grins, his eyes bright as he turns to the girl beside him, saying, "Same for you too," while a gentle breeze swirls leaves around them. With a confident smile, the man nods an apology before turning away, striding purposefully toward the distant town that stretches beyond the fields. A towering wall looms beneath a gloomy sky, its imposing gate marked Miruzu. A line of anxious people and a weary horse-drawn cart patiently await entry. The young man smiles apologetically as he sets down a steaming bowl of meat soup, accompanied by fragrant herb-fried long-grain rice and freshly baked rye bread. A comforting broth is poured, enveloping him in warmth, as the man sits alone at the table, introspective. She giggles as she takes a bite of her lunch, the flavor surprising her. Excited, she leans closer to her plate, eager to grab another spoonful. A man catches sight of Piggymaru's hopeful gaze and smiles, promising to share some food with the little slime-like creature. A girl slices into a plate of fried rice, marveling at how much it resembles paella. With a curious grin, a young man takes a bite, his eyes lighting up with delight at the delicious flavor. The girl and boy sit side by side on the bench, sharing a moment of warmth, savoring their meal, and appreciating the simple joy of togetherness. A man savors a drink, feeling the refreshing mint flavor brighten the salty dish. His hand grips the glass tightly, a hint of satisfaction crossing his face. In a bustling tavern, patrons savor their meals and drinks. A man ponders society's relentless push to overwork and overindulge. He takes a sip of his drink, finding it bland yet surprisingly pleasant. Mizuru's spirit sparkles with excitement as the feudal lord's call ignites her passion. In a nearby bar, a group of men cheers joyfully, their laughter echoing as they celebrate the thrilling find of ancient ruins. The scene depicts a bustling tavern filled with cheerful patrons, where attentive ears can uncover priceless secrets hidden in casual conversations. In a bustling tavern, two men animatedly debate the tale of a vanished knight leader, rumored to be a princess in disguise. Nearby, a dark-haired figure listens intently, pensive and absorbed in their thoughts. In a dimly lit tavern, two men conversed in hushed tones about the fall of Nightwall and the great demon emperor. A young man, startled, explains that before the emperor makes his move, the goddess Vaisis will intervene. Whispers suggest that heroes have been summoned. He grits his teeth, cursing the goddess furiously. The goddess smirks, stating that the kingdom conceals its true condition and seldom reveals its secrets, while the others remain silent. Two men in sharp suits debate the prowess of the kingdom's knights, their voices animated with excitement as they speculate about a rumored formidable figure. Meanwhile, a woman in an elegant dress sits quietly at a nearby table, her expression contemplative. A vast army stands poised beneath their banner, while a determined knight in shining armor acknowledges that the northern Magaruna kingdom also boasts the fierce White Wolf Knights. The disciplined soldiers of the Yodona kingdom stand resolute, showcasing their elite holy extermination force, while the Uruza kingdom counters with its fierce magic knights. Two men casually debate the mightiest force in the realm, while a resolute knight from the Bakuosu kingdom's Black Dragon Knights stands triumphantly atop a vanquished dragon. He grips his staff tightly, his voice steady as he recounts the tale of the legendary strongest human, Sibid Gatlin. The armored figure confidently asserts that in a one-on-one battle, he could sever the great demon emperor's head. Knights exist to craft such chances. A man in a hoodie gazes intently at a woman in a hoodie, asserting confidently that even just the 5 dragon knights could challenge an entire kingdom. He ponders the constant chatter about strength, feeling assured as he processes the moment. With determination, he steps out onto the bustling street. The scene depicts a cozy bed in a softly lit room, illuminated by the glow of the moon. Outside, a tranquil night envelops a 2-story house, where a solitary figure stands at the doorway, gazing into the darkness. An elderly man greets a visitor with a warm smile, while 2 men animatedly debate the bustling occupancy of single and large rooms, filled to capacity with teams of historical ruins, discoverers, and soldiers in Miruzu. The young man smiles reassuringly, while the older man hesitates, concerned as he explains that the outfit and missing knapsack make it hard for him to allow a stay. He recounts his harrowing escape from robbers, clutching the money he barely got away with. Now he feels determined to buy clothes and other essentials here. A hand slams coins onto the table as the speaker insists on high quality for their money, nonchalantly adding that they don't mind keeping the change. Their expression hardens, warning that they'll find another inn if their demands aren't met. An older man, thrilled, discovers a key and recalls an empty spare room. He eagerly vows to have everything ready by morning, while a younger man, grateful, quietly thanks him. An older man eagerly requests a name for the registry book, while a dark-haired figure hesitates, glancing away. With a confident grin, Hattie School introduces himself, his hand outstretched and assertive. A man cheerfully explains to the newcomer that this is just another typical day for the abandoned historic ruins investigation team, while another nonchalantly adds that everything is perfectly normal here. The man hesitantly raises his hands, confusion etched on his face as he glances at the corpses strewn about. "I don't know," he finally admits, his voice shaky. The scene depicts fallen soldiers sprawled across the ground, their lifeless bodies surrounded by wary animals inching closer. A voice contemplates their vulnerability after brutal assaults by bandits or monsters, highlighting the undeniable fragility of life. The characters eagerly discuss their mission to explore ancient ruins nestled between their homeland and an ally's territory. Excitement fills the air as they reassure each other that the task is straightforward and the rewards are generous. A man in a cloak sits on a bench in the woods, eyes wide with disbelief as he tells the newcomer that escaping is futile. He wonders aloud, puzzled, why anyone would choose to perish in such a place if they could break free. A young man chuckles playfully, glancing at the captain for confirmation. Meanwhile, the captain and another person bow their heads, immersed in quiet contemplation, cherishing the serenity of the captain's life with his wife. A soldier asks the captain what's wrong. The captain replies, "Nothing." However, a nervous man chimes in, explaining that the crystal ball used to check abandoned ruins appears broken since it usually changes color. A man grips a shattered globe, declaring, "But now it isn't." 2 cloaked figures gaze up, astonished, as one begins, "So, that means..." The man sighed, pointing out that the crystal was ancient and shattered. The woman frowned, doubting whether even the goddess's enchanted gear could truly be broken. A concerned character asks, "Should we report to Aelion when we get back?" But another, sweating and grim, sharply replies, "No." A person grips a globe with excitement as they promise to share updates in 6 months, envisioning how the world might change by then. 2 men, anxious, inquire if he's certain, while a woman, exasperated, clarifies that these reports must pass through Aelion, recognizing his aversion to endless questions and paperwork. The man pulls the girl closer, their lips almost touching, as he glares at the intruder. "Don't mess with us," he warns, his voice low and fierce, hinting that no one has ever escaped this place unscathed. A knock echoes at the door as a voice calls out to Hati-sama, announcing that clothes have been placed outside. He looks up, grateful, before returning to his book, a small smile playing on his lips. A young man eagerly inquired about joining the team for the ruins investigation. The older man, with a serious expression, explained that the Marquis was assembling a group to delve into the mysterious depths of the Miruzu historic ruin. Hati-sama is asked if she'll join the others at the city square for the briefing. A nearby observer remarks on the funding for the experiments, playfully suggesting that the guest should extend her stay. The young man flips a page, nostalgic, as he remembers the Miruzu historic ruin. Beside him, the small slime eagerly declares its plans to visit too. He realizes how crucial Piggymaru's support is for boosting their chances against the goddesses. He grins brightly as the small, slimy creature clings to his arm, showcasing their strong connection. She gazes at the rain, feeling times melancholic, while he sits beside her, his thoughts time distracted, times the gentle rhythm of the droplets around them mirrors the times turbulent asterisk emotions brewing within. He remembers how his instincts had sharpened during the recent scuffle, a moment of clarity amidst the chaos, now juxtaposed with this quiet moment of reflection. He reflects, grateful that without Pigimaru he could be dead by now. Urgently, he points toward something important. A hand gestures toward notes detailing successful monster enhancement drug experiments, highlighting potential side effects on the creatures. He confidently tells Pigimaru that it can be enhanced and grow stronger, mentioning the sage's approval with a proud smile. He smiles gently, cradling a soft, radiant object, and asks if she wants to give it a try, describing it as the color of hope. A man grimaces as he warns that losing initiative to a surprise attack could lead to his defeat, while a younger figure observes intently. In the heart of the forest, a determined Flash stands beside the focused Green Lantern, both scanning their surroundings. They know the best strategy is to outmaneuver their foes and seize the advantage first. A girl and a boy sit together in a cozy room. The boy beams, expressing how wonderful it would be to have someone dependable like her. The young man confidently shares his ideas with his girlfriend, outlining their strategy to improve a slime's abilities at the Mikuzu historic ruins. Excitement fills the room as they sit together on the couch, eager to embark on their adventure. He confidently directs the small, slime-like creature to take charge of spotting enemies and tracking them down, vowing to weaken the foes himself. He gazes thoughtfully, his expression serious, as he contemplates the boys around him. The young man ponders the necessity of an assailant to grant him a moment's respite, while a sword looms beside him, glinting ominously. He steels himself, determined. With newfound confidence, he proclaims his triumph over the dungeon, fully believing in his own strength. A cloaked man grips his sword, observing the lively town square where a speaker captivates the crowd. Nearby, a young man gazes at the vibrant scene, feeling exhilaration wash over him as if he stepped into another realm. A man anxiously considers his next move, trying to blend in, while a shadowy figure chuckles menacingly nearby. A hand raises, curious, as someone asks if there's a dubious figure among the crowd. The man grins menacingly, extending his hand ominously, while the younger man trembles, anxiety etched on his face as he hears the chilling words, "I can recognize you, even under that hood." A menacing figure strides towards the hooded young man, smugly asserting that he knows who he is beneath the disguise, while the young man feels anxiety creeping in as he fears his identity will be revealed. A crowd watches, intrigued and anxious, as a hooded figure inquires about the situation. Nearby, a man's eyes widen in recognition, recalling the voice he has heard before. A man angrily points, insisting that the sound could be from the former head of the Holy Knights, while the crowd watches intently. A crowd gasps, stunned, wondering if the woman is Sarasu Ashran, the fabled princess of the High Elves. Suddenly, a hooded figure steps forward, declaring she is a valiant knight from the forest. He hesitates, feeling torn as a self-assured man boasts about his encounter with the leader of Nea's Holy Knights. A man with a smug grin recounts his rejection by a stunning elf, while a hooded figure gazes downward silently. A woman with piercing eyes retorts that she doesn't recall their encounter. He watches silently, noticing her calm demeanor. It would be reckless to step in for her. A crowd buzzes as a man fiercely proclaims their meeting pivotal. Nearby, another man, trembling and pale, remembers the stunning knight who humiliated him, now infamous with a staggering bounty on her head. A man snarls, intent on capturing and humiliating the woman, who stands resolute as he lunges at her. A man with a sinister grin yanks a blonde woman by her hood, accusing her of concealing elf ears, while she fights back desperately. Saras questions boldly about her ears, while the man below looks astonished and bewildered. A confident girl with long dark hair looks directly at the camera, assertively declaring, "I'm not Sarasu Ashran, I'm Mist Barukas," as she corrects the misunderstanding. Furious, a man menaces to tear off his armor, vowing to reveal the group's identities. He warns them sternly to be cautious. The girl looks remorseful as she apologizes, while the hooded man, intrigued, senses her magic and shows concern for her safety. A hooded figure nods, confirming the Miruzu historic ruin as their destination. He introduces himself as Hati Skull, a hint of recognition in his voice, as he notes they've crossed paths twice before. He boldly claims the name holds no significance for them, while she responds with shock, recognizing it as a false name but eager to contribute something more. A hooded woman smiles warmly, responding with a soft, "Yes, you are right," as a smirk plays on her lips above. The excited Marquis Great Harkley proudly reveals the discovery of a new level in the Miruzu historic ruins, inviting everyone to explore under his guidance. A resolute man proclaims he will acquire treasures at lofty prices and hammer out purchase terms, while a focused young man listens intently beside a wise elder. A resolute woman in a hood proclaims that the rewards are open to all. A thrilled man shouts about a hidden treasure, the Dragon's Eye Sake Cup, located in the Miruzu ruins. He promises a reward of 300 gold coins to anyone brave enough to find it, igniting a loud cheer from the excited crowd. In a bustling street, a woman in a flowing white dress gazes at a man in a sleek black suit. She reassures him, confidence radiating from her, that ordinary monsters shouldn't trouble him. However, he appears bewildered, struggling to grasp the reality of this world. The goddess declares firmly that securing the Dragon Cup isn't the sole path to wealth, her eyes unwavering and assured. She eagerly shares that mapping out the new level and keeping tabs on monster locations and kills will earn rewards, all while weighing other important factors. She gazes intently at the camera, her black hair framing her determined expression. He considers the situation, clarifying that the Marquis initially deploys mercenaries like them as scouts into the uncharted territory. He confidently shares that by gathering intel from mercenaries and formidable monsters, he can protect his soldiers and guide them into the uncharted territory. Sakaris stands before the attentive crowd, her voice steady as she announces that recruitment will resume upon the discovery of a new level. Hopeful eyes watch her closely, hanging on to her every word. He smiles appreciatively, recognizing her understanding of his intentions, and sincerely thanks her for her invaluable support. A hooded figure confidently declares it must be fate for their paths to cross, while another person nods thoughtfully, recognizing the instinct to assist others. A woman in a flowing white dress gazes shyly, her cheeks flushed, as a man in a sharp black suit extends an invitation with a warm smile, making her heart flutter unexpectedly. He pleads, anxious, as she looks away, hair cascading around her. His gaze catches the shadows beneath her eyes, and he asks, concerned, if she's been sleeping poorly. The girl in the flowing white dress gazes intently at the man in the striking black and white suit, her eyes filled with curiosity. He shifts uncomfortably, his brow furrowed as he reflects on the restless nights that have plagued him recently. She smiles shyly, saying she'll take a moment to rest before entering the ruins, while he reassures her gently to not worry and to go on ahead. He worries about her well-being, remembering his aunt and uncle's soothing words meant to ease concern. The boy smiles bravely, hiding his anxiety, while the man below gasps, revealing his worry. A focused girl gazes into the camera, while a tiny, sparkling creature yearns to reward kindness and dreams of more happiness for those who do good. A man in a suit strides toward a blazing shrine, burdened by guilt and yearning to make amends to his aunt and uncle. In the dimly lit room, a man and woman stand close, the air filled with anticipation. The woman smiles confidently, insisting they don't need a light. Meanwhile, a cloaked figure observes them from the shadows, intrigue etched across their face. A man yells in panic that it's a minotaur, claiming it emerged from a deeper level. Another man, shaking with fear, cautions that rushing in right after finding a new level is reckless. He watches a tiny creature, like a miniature minotaur, scurrying through the abandoned ruins, his curiosity piqued as a massive horned figure silently towers behind him. The man in the suit rolls up his sleeve, his expression resolute, declaring confidently that it's not intimidating at all. With a fierce determination, he unleashes a radiant poison spell, obliterating the monster. Nearby, another character watches, impressed, noting how poison and paralysis never fail to deliver. A figure thrusts a weapon into a monster amidst the crumbling ruins, shocked by its unusual toughness, as a piercing scream reverberates. He reveals that the components for the monster enhancement drug can be extracted from Pigimaru with a knife. A man in a suit stands precariously on the ledge, staring down with a look of uncertainty. Satoru watches the small, slime-like creature bounce eagerly, its vibrant form wiggling joyfully in the corridor. A figure strolls down a dim corridor, feeling secure knowing someone is watching their back, allowing them to relax and be less guarded. He glances at the map, surprised to see he's on the 6th level, while the new level is the 15th. He frowns, sensing a strange urgency compared to the eerie stillness of the abandoned historic ruin. He unleashes a chilling poison spell, then nods gratefully at Pigimaru, the slime-like creature. As it emits a tiny sound of acknowledgement, a menacing figure looms, revealing the Joker alongside his cunning wife. both cloaked in chaos beneath the crumbling ruins. The four men stand together confidently, embodying the group known as White Walker, each wearing a fierce expression. In the dim light of the forest, a man in a sharp suit stands alone, panic etched across his face. He shouts for help, his voice trembling with urgency. Memories of the four imposing figures flood his mind, their sheer strength palpable, driving him to take swift action. The hooded figure cautiously glances around the corner, relieved to find no monsters lurking nearby. In a dimly lit stone corridor, a determined man with long hair implores two armed men, one gripping a massive axe, for a crucial favor. The man's eyes bulge with recognition, his wild expression revealing a smirk of mischief as he remembers the troublemaker from the square. Two men with determined expressions stand in the room, challenging each other's strength as they consider who can lend a hand. He boldly charges at the three wolf-like creatures, sure he can take them down without a single scratch. A man with striking black and white hair and a matching shirt stands confidently, a sly smile playing on his lips as he boldly declares himself the Flash, Monk Drogody. A man hurls a bag of coins, exclaiming his desire for vengeance, eager for the hefty reward. With fierce determination, she vows to make the woman who humiliated her in the square deeply regret her existence, her expression sharp and intense. Two men face a third, questioning him about killing a woman. His resolute response, yes, leaves them stunned. A man with a sinister grin plots to capture a woman alive, eager to torment her before ending her life, feeling satisfaction only when she pleads for mercy. Furious, he swears to make her suffer, ripping her apart and feeding the fragments to beasts. Two armored men lean against a stone wall. One looks astonished, while the other appears relaxed, casually stating, he's fine, as long as he's paid and having a good time. A man watches, captivated, as a strikingly beautiful woman stumbles into the ancient ruins, her eyes shadowed with exhaustion. Nearby, a hooded figure observes silently, curiosity etched on their features. The man smirks, accepting the ambush from behind, then strides forward with unwavering confidence. The guy in the dark hoodie scowls, frustrated as he demands to know how the others can be so incompetent. A man glares at a younger figure, demanding if he overheard their conversation. The younger one looks bewildered, shaking his head. The man's voice turns harsh as he declares he is not kind. The man, visibly frustrated, gestures toward the camera, condemning those who scorn kindness for selfish motives, while a quiet woman with long hair stands silently behind him. Furious, the slime-like creature bellows threats, demanding to know if the man understands. Furious, he clenches his fists and vows to shatter his opponent's pride, promising to feed them to the monsters. Shocked, he acknowledges his own unexpected feelings. A man menacingly threatens to feed the woman to monsters, but the young man boldly stands his ground, unafraid. The young man grits his teeth, screaming, "Paralyze!" while the older man behind him stares, wide-eyed and terrified. A furious man with dripping hair faces off against a self-assured man in a coat, who shouts challengingly about who he intends to kill. Two men, startled, demand to know the intruder's identity and his actions. The figure in front, unfazed, coolly responds about eliminating people like them. He grins, reveling in a strange contentment, finding the moment unexpectedly pleasant. The man stands beside the woman, uncertainty in his eyes. He admits he doesn't know her story or her true nature, yet he feels she radiates warmth and sincerity, unlike the others. She remembers how her aunt and uncle's honesty inspired her, compelling her to stand by the woman. The man, enraged, vows revenge while grumbling about a bizarre trick and urging the other to remember him. Shadows loom as despair clings to the air, while a voice echoes that kindness brings solace and cruelty invites suffering. Desperate men, trapped and helpless, scream for help, their faces twisted in shock and fear as they understand they are being left behind. A boy with a mischievous grin questions if they are the ones who become prey for the monsters, his gaze daring and fierce.